So there is code on screen. Pause at any point if you need to, because it is going to be, well, the code on screen is going to be long, even though there might not be the most to it. However, a lot of the lines, each individual line can be very substantial in case you want to change things. And to start it off, if you didn't know, Perm was updated to version 1.48. I'm actually going to pop this in behind the screen for the second. Yeah, so 1.48, just making sure. And basically, you can now override base characters. I was trying to figure out how to word that in the best way, but anyway, in the example you see on screen and in this video, and if you haven't been previewed by the thumbnail, is that we're going to do Koji, and we're going to be working with the same Timeworn Katana concept that I want to start a series on for mainly fun, but this will also help with basically keeping in practice with making custom content for World of Horror. So, as I slowly scroll down, so I don't scroll down too fast, get to the menu tag, and we'll stop here for the moment. Again, the normal things that you'll see on the selection screen. However, you'll notice a lot of these things are going to be blank, but just to explain really quickly. So here's where you would add stat changes. It could be strength, dexterity, so on and so forth. I might spell some of these wrong, but an example is like strength 4, dexterity, blah. You get the point. This will not change because it's just a blank file at the moment, but you get the point. You can basically change, modify a base character as needed, and the override type, if we were to zip back up for a moment, basically explains how you would, the method and how the character will be selected in the character select screen. Normally, I would also say the default to separate is a good idea, so, I mean, not really much else to say there, but otherwise, keep going, as we continue to scroll downward. Again, these are all blank. I have no reason to change it except for the bonus types, but we'll talk about that in a moment. These are all the, well, these 4 lines, sprite, icon, back, house, chibi are obviously the graphics. If you didn't know, if you haven't made a custom character before, you need these 4 to make a custom character function to some extent. Now, they could just be a black 1 dot pixel on a transparent background, but for overriding characters you don't particularly need them because base characters already have their graphics, so you therefore don't need to provide them, just to let you know. And then sprite selection and sound selection are what happens when you click on the character and they appear. Koji goes, huh? And yeah, that's not really much else explanation needed. Bonus types is something that custom characters all have already, but now you can add them to the override for a base character. So in this case, as I accidentally zip upward, this one is triggering an event at the beginning of the run. So at the very beginning of the run, you'll see the same event that I triggered in the previous episode of this Part 2 series. Behind the scenes, and yeah, you'll see that in a moment. Perks, if you want to add any perks to the character, I think this is on level up. Yeah, on level up, I believe, because bonus types you can just give them things like adrenaline, core strength, so on and so forth. Perks is what will appear on their level up if they level up, and if I'm wrong, well, correct me, or you'll know better. But all of this is also available through a guide, by the way, just a tangent. So there's a guide for Perm and just custom, well, it'll help you make custom content as well, but get you into the mindset of making custom content. And then new mechanics, this is what you would see when, say, I believe when you select Yashiro, you see the Faith system. Very helpful for the sake of, a creator trying to tell the player what to do with the mechanic that they might have made for Perm. Period. That's the end of the sentence. And then good ending is the image. The good ending, I think, is the image, and then the text A and B are the upper and lower lines of text, respectively. Good ending with this regular good ending equals here being the image that is provided. Again, no need to add that, but just in case you wanted to know. And then faith is if you have a faith mechanic like Yashiro. Play with this as you will. I normally don't touch faith or any of the mechanics, save for maybe an on-the-run character, but hey. Preparation. Self-explanatory, what happens when you click preparation. You can skip the UI and just give them something, or you can give them basically things based on just one line of code giving you the items, and I think prizes and numbers if you want to separate the category. So prizes would be, say, item, curse, status effect, fun, so on and so forth, and numbers would be the exact value. Again, if I get anything wrong, I'm just saying this out loud if for no other reason than to remind myself. But and then the wardrobe, extra spite, extra button label, extra button prices. I think it's what happens when you switch to these outfits and proceed to use them, but I haven't toyed around with this, so I'm not going to explain further because I don't want to give misinformation. Again, these are all available through a guide that is also provided if you go on to Nexus Mods to find the guide. I think it's right under usually the current version of Perm, but you get the point. I think it's a PDF file and an HTML file for your use. And then portrait names, again, if you want to name the whatchamacallit, or is it something else? I'm going crazy. At this point, I'm not going to pretend like I know. Because I don't for portrait names. Again, all of this is available. I want to say it one more time because it's important. There is like a readily made guide available when you download Perm. There are text files to help you out in documentation, and then again, there's just a straight up guide, PDF and HTML file that you can use to kind of navigate your way to making custom content on Perm. And then other stuff for portraits, costumes, status effects, low stamina, low reason, faceless. I mentioned faceless in particular here because faceless is often a status effect. I think was added in one of the templates somewhere. That's provided, but it's actually not a base status effect you can add for custom characters. I'm doing kind of a revolving wrist motion just to keep on with it. And then the situational effects, you've seen these on items, status effects, curses, perks, what happens when you investigate, when you win a battle, so on and so forth, if you so choose. So basically a lot of stuff you can do. I'm going to just use the generic word stuff because it's a lot of stuff. So without further ado, let's actually get into this run. I think the only changes I made to the Timeworn Katana are the methods in which you get experience, and I think I boosted the experience. I should have actually made a note somewhere. This would have probably been a good point to use the thingamajiggy system, the mechanic system. But anyway, at though 2 medical history random stats, we'll remember that as we move on. That'll actually affect the Timeworn Katana. So, shrug, right? And just to remind myself, we're on at though 2 medical history. Again, I changed the palette here, so for the purposes of seeing what the Timeworn Katana looks like, because I used both 2-bit color palettes to basically add a bit more splash to the color. That was not the best word to use, but you get the point. And then, yeah, read if you want to, pause and read if you want to. I didn't really change much, but there are things to, look at and note if you want to add text to a base character, primarily because the perk packs don't exist and are not shown on the character text, the character lore on the top right. Then you have more space to add in your own text, which is nice, actually. So, shrug. So for timestamp's sake, as we get into it, though 2 medical history, random item stats, Timeworn Katana, we're going to keep picking one here. All of these options are the same, so there's not really any difference at the moment. However, we will hold off on equipping the Timeworn Katana until we get into the home screen. I mean, we're going to equip it anyway, but yeah. So second mystery knowledge light, charisma, strength, and maybe a second encounter check. No Takushi-san, just a lot of pain, although we do have strength, so that's what I usually like to boost anyway. So just keeping that in the back of my mind as we move on here. So let us see what the random item stat setting has for us today. I am not sitting in a very healthy way, but it's the most comfortable, but it's an unhealthy way because my back is going to be sore if I keep sitting as I am now. So, yeah, so again, if you didn't know, your base roll of 4 advice for the day is if you have random item stats set on, any weapon that you have will be randomized in its stats when you reach the screen. So, as you can see right here, the damage is now 3. I think the speed is increased by 5 from 85 to 90, and I don't remember the chance to hit, even though it's an item I made for myself. To note, so yeah, if you didn't know the palettes here, it's obviously I would call this orange in my eyes, and then the green, so you see orange on the blade side of this katana, and then the green on as the quote-unquote darker purple, which is the transparent palettes that you normally see. So, shrug. Now, at this point, because we only do 3 damage, this could be a bit of an iffy run, but this is why we're testing the thing out now, although I just saw Book of Gore, so we'll see how many Book of Gores we'll have to use here. Again, if you skip to the timestamp, we did overwrite this Koji, which is why you saw the event proc at the very beginning. And then you have all these slots available. Perm already gives you a lot more costume slots for a custom character if you decide to so use them in Perm. Period. That's the end of the sentence. So, Nails, Teacher, Jump, Tushibas, Auteur, and Household Hell. Is that 3 boss mysteries? Yeah, it is. Shibas he can run away from, though, so technically no, but we have Auteur as well, which is also a possible boss mystery. So, for the sake of keeping our sanity, we're going to do Auteur now. Yeah, Auteur. Actually, we should do Teacher now. Yeah, we'll do Teacher now, because we have 6 strength to brace. Your second small piece of advice from me, or at least in my opinion, advice, is that with 6 strength, and as you can see here, so this is not a custom character Koji, but get the film roll, even though we overrode the character because we didn't want to change that. Or I didn't want to change that. But yeah, so 6 strength in teacher allows you to brace and do with the teacher attack. That's important, at least in my opinion, because it prevents, if you brace during the school encounter, you won't get badly bleeding, which is something that can happen to you when you're fighting the boss and you don't brace. I feel like it's a bug. I've always said it was a bug, or I always said that I thought it was a bug, but maybe it's not, so shrug, right? But anywho, yeah, otherwise this army knife would have been nice to equip, even if it only did 4 damage. I'm going to take a look. Yeah, so I mean, speaks for itself. We're just going to end up throwing it, though, because we are working with the Timeworn Katana. The funny part is, because if I decide to throw an item here, we don't get any experience with the Timeworn Katana. I could code it so that it does, but immersion-wise and lore-wise, it would not make sense, so therefore I'm just leaving it as is. Now, the other side of this is actually, I'm not going to say that because I don't know if what I was going to say is true or not. It was something about coding in perm with, let's just say, action effects. But anywho, yeah, because I'm not sure, I should have actually tested that out, but I just thought about it right at this moment. So shrug, right? Nice knowledge roll. Help, but something to note here is that I realize as I'm in teaching, this is why it's good to test things out. If you do not if you are not able to go through everything in your own mind. So what I'm going to mention here as I throw Sensor Bunny on screen is that in this school encounter, you'll note that you increase the experience for this katana by attacking. However, when I attack the teacher here, I don't think it's going to count, but I guess we're going to find out. And so this strong attack should give us 7 experience. Am I going crazy? It did not give me any experience. Did I not code this right? Well, that's a bug. We're going to keep at it for now because I still want to go through this, basically the overriding a character, which is going to be a important part of the series now that I know how it works. But let's actually still brace here. That's the whole point of why I took teacher first with 6 strength. The small part about that is that I took teacher first is because if, say, I got a broken bone, which is what happened here, I will no longer be able to brace. But thankfully we have a medical kit. I think we can still do this. Yeah, thank goodness. But yeah, perfect video. Now, this Timeworn Katana is kind of bugged, but yeah, because this attack the teacher action is not particularly is not coded, then yeah, we don't get experience for this. I was also not getting experience for the strong attack. I wonder why that was. But anywho, we'll live with it. You know what? I will do regular attacks anyway, but it really shouldn't be that way as we take Sensor Bunny off the screen. So, yeah, off we go. Also, I guess your third little note for this video for base World of Horror is that when you throw items at that school encounter, you are dealing damage. So if you need that little oomph so that you don't take another turn of damage, whether it's because you're bracing or you're not bracing, either way, it is an option for you if you want to save a turn. I think it was like you need about 4 or 5 damage. It depends on your mystery scaling, and by that I mean which mystery you've taken teacher with. Nice 11 roll, by the way, game. But yeah, I also did not equip the camera. Probably should have, but I don't think it would have mattered. So yeah, off we go. Folklore studies, blah 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 blah. Knowledge. I like taking folklore studies in lieu of things that perks that are not there that I want to take over it, like quick thinking, because of the, well, you never know what's going to happen to your knowledge, but also a lot of characters happen to be very close to the 8 knowledge mark. You might have to add a point of knowledge, but it's not a bad idea in my opinion. I actually wanted to pull up my own code for the Timeworn Katana to wonder why I was not getting experience, but it's fine. So if nothing else, we're going to see how much 5 experience gets us here. We probably might only still get 5 bonus damage, which means I really need to up the amount of things you get. Oh my sweet goodness, I did things wrong, but I guess we'll see. Alternative, actually, I'm not going to say that either. Yeah, never mind. Basically, I should probably add more ways to get experience, but not by too much. Basically, every encounter, you probably shouldn't be getting more than like 20 to 30 experience. That would be a bit much. Again, bonus damage can quickly ramp up in your favor, so having like 3 bonus damage will be very, very good for you, the player, but not be very challenging as a player. So shrug. So I could have brought the handcuffs out. I probably should have, actually. Now I kind of regret it. But we have Book of Gore, so that's why I'm being a bit loose with my strategy at the moment. That being said, probably not the best idea. And in fact, it would have helped me out immensely here. But instead, we can Army Knife. Never mind. I missed. I thought I was going to hit that. I did not. And yeah, I guess we do Book of Gore. I probably should have just Book of Gored into or should have just a Thotu Flamed at this point. But, also because we need to do Desperate Prep Normal Attack. We can't do Strong because that doesn't get us experience because I bugged my own item at the moment. So, I guess we'll just do 7 damage. Because 4.5 times 2, that's right. That's why I miscalculated in that previous encounter, because I have 3 base damage on this katana. Shrug, which also means that when we get to 4 damage, with bonus damage being 1, it's actually still going to be quite bad for me. So, yeah, I think we can escape from Shiba's last I remember. So, that's why we're taking Autor first, in case we fight another boss. Yeah, not much else to say at the moment. Do I have fetid fumes? I know I have a broken nose, but yeah, we don't have fetid fumes yet. However, yeah, not really much else to say at the moment. Also trying to focus on not dying here. Deduction would be great, but the one time I had an inkling, I was like, oh yeah, it must be a knowledge check. 8 knowledge, reroll it 10. Oh, help. Something I was thinking about now that I'm talking about stats is that when the katana levels up, I could also allow you to basically have extra stats here and there, but don't know if that'd be too much. I did say that an increase in 1 stat here and there wouldn't really be the most game-breaking effect. However, if I plan to increase like 2 or 3 stats by 1, then it's still not the strongest thing, but I promise you it can be quite good. That was the knowledge check. That was a knowledge check as well. Whoopsie doopsie. But, yeah, I mean, I know that one in the middle is perception. I just thought, maybe, just maybe, right? But anyway, torn muscle I think is less damage, right? So we actually do need to get rid of that. But we also need to get rid of these burns. So that first, I think this is a major. It is. So let's hope these painkillers sell for fun so we can get rid of that as well. Yeah, it would not be great. 3 stamina, 13 reason later, I'm in a lot of pain. Again, to let you know, so again, that's something that I had in the back of my mind, but I didn't remember, is that with random item stats, this Timeworn katana can actually be very, very bad. In short, in general, if you have a 3 damage weapon, it needs to be 80 speed at the slowest. Any slower than 80 speed, you're going to be feeling it. I think 80 is usually the break point, because normally your strongest stat will be at 7, so 7 times 3, or 80 minus 7 times 3 equals, hey, I can still prep attack, and that's something you really, really want with the, did we just drop a baby, by the way? Something you really, really want with the fast weapon, basically, because if you don't do that, yeah, you don't get to prep attack, you're just gambling on things like this. Pretend this was, pretend that I could do 3 attacks here. Now, this boss in particular has 0 power, so I can get all these attacks hit, but I promise you, even with 20 power, it can be very, very scary. Oh my sweet goodness, I'm getting shot in the face. But, yeah, that's my personal, again, it is an opinion, so it's my personal opinion on the matter. But, as I sit here in Book of, I realized I don't want to be a Thotu Flaming, by the way, and now we get a Mangled Hand, so, can we brace into anything? Yes. I should actually be doing this, but we also might be taking stamina damage as seen here, so whoopsie doopsie. Does this kill me, by the way, if I Mangled Hand myself? I guess we're going to find out. It's a behind the scenes video, so there are not a lot of stakes, so let's find out. Okay, well, we didn't proc it, but wanted to do some science there. While we have the luxury to Lost Bath, by the way. So, this is illicit, so I can't actually sell it. Which means I need to hope that these sell for funds. The Ritual Robe does not. The Library Notes does, but probably need a tree for funds to get rid of this Mangled Hand. I would not like that on us. So Shiba's into Household Hell. Yeah, probably Shiba's. I wouldn't like to end at Household Hell. Shiba's actually gives us access to the town, but it's not the greatest, I feel. Nice flashbacks, by the way. So Yeah, off we go. It's Mangled Hand, which is another major injury. But at this point, we just cross our fingers and hope we survive. We could rest here, but I'm just going to walk forward and do my best. Now, I really shouldn't do that, but... And just to kind of note, how much experience do we have? 65. So this is, this is not really a lot of experience. But again, I'm trying to maintain that balance between me doing a lot of damage with bonus damage and also giving the player some reward. That's really the balance here. Yeah, not really much else to say there. Oh my sweet goodness. Can we do a thing? We can't. If I throw this somehow, this should do at least 2 damage, right? Then we do this. But that being said, if I could do my strong attacks, we'd probably be like at 84-ish experience. So actually, no, that wouldn't really matter as much anyway. I gotta figure out. But again, by the time the series starts in the next episode, probably 24-ish hours from now, yeah, I will have decided on what to do. I want to, well, for sure, I want the Katana to basically become stronger over runs, so I decided to go that route as opposed to more powerful Katana to a less stronger Katana. That was not the correct phrasing, but you get the point. And the reason for that is, as I explained in the previous episode, I'll explain again now. I did not want it to be kind of a drag as you get through runs, and then you're like, oh, it's because the Katana was so weak on my 7th or 8th run that I have to start all over. Basically, if I didn't mention that part, basically every time I lose a run, I start back at the beginning. So in a way, it's a Nuzlocke run. So, but at the same time, we're working with a very special effect. Shrug. That's the end of the sentence for now. Hey, history club time. Ritual mask. Do the ritual mask. Outdoorsman. Nothing. So we just spent doom there. That's fine. But I actually just want to make it to the lighthouse. So off we go. Now, the downside here is that we get stuck in the... If we somehow get stuck in the mansion and lose all 5 of our stamina, that would be really bad, which is why I'm going to hold on this level up for a moment and cross my fingers. Shrug. And we lost stamina there. I really should just rest here, but deciding not to. Out of curiosity, did we ever get fetid fumes? No. We got roads closed, which is actually going to affect us here, I believe. But if we get out in a prompt manner, it shouldn't really matter. So, unfortunately, we're taking a lot of stamina damage here, so... Again, Book of Gore is usually my last resort, but you never know, right? Actually, with this said... Can I do 2 attacks? I cannot. Wow. Well, level up into stamina it is, but... We're going to keep doing this so that we get extra damage. Did that add damage immediately? I wasn't checking. Well, off we go. Oh, I can't even do 2 desperate struggles. So... Am I getting damage anywhere else? I don't think so, right? So I guess I do have to sit here and brace one more time. Should trade off reason if I so choose, but meh. Also, that's right. I am on medical history, so whoops. But it's fine. We should be out. I really should just do a strong attack at this point. I won't be getting more... I won't be leveling up this Katana again in the course of the run anyway, so... Also, I should have traded off 2 reason. I forgot to do that, but if we're going to lose, like, 2 stamina anyway, an extra point of stamina wouldn't have mattered here, but we'll find out. Can I get out of this mystery, not encounter mystery, please? That would be great. Because, again, I do have Book of Gore to kind of fall back on at the moment, but that will only really help and matter if I can get out of this mystery. Okay, good. An extra 2 investigations might have actually cost me this run, so we're just going to walk forward and hope for the best. Now, we do have 8 knowledge and 9 strength, so because we don't have the dexterity, we are theoretically not going to be losing any more stamina. So we should be okay. Now, this would have been a great run to do as part of the official series, but because I'm not, yeah, just shrug, I guess. It's pain. I think we did nails, but I'm just going crazy at the moment. So, I mean, it's nice to know that the Katana is already somewhat balanced. I mean, it was already somewhat balanced anyway. In fact, I probably should tweak it to be a little harder for most World of Horror veterans in general, but when we start the series, I guess I'll just stick with this. So, last thing to note is that if I think I mentioned it before, but I'll mention it again. Specifically, the Katana will basically get an extra point of base damage. I like every, when we start our 3rd run with Katana, on the 5th run it'll probably be faster, and on the 7th run it'll probably be more accurate, something like that. Probably should start with accuracy first, and then speed, and then damage, but we'll see what I actually choose to do. But otherwise, if you have any questions about Perm, I'll try to answer to the best of my ability, but it is just out available on Nexus Mods, so if you want to go peek into it yourself, feel free to. Yeah, not really much else to say. If you have anything to say yourself, you know what to do. Otherwise, thank you for watching. I'll see you later. Bye!